Kind greetings. The veteran among us, our LGBTQIA plus allies family. We haven't been together for a while, as is the case with our sister Jerry Ann Carney, who is a veteran, an Army veteran, and a transgender woman. It is so very exciting to see you, Sister Jerry.
Oh, it's
We
been a
haven't.
while.
It's been a long time. It's been it's been a minute. And let me pause here parenthetically and say to Pastor Sue, I just got an email from Sister Michelle. She says that she did not receive the link. So if you could please resend it, and I'm going to put in the chat the email address that I have for her that I think I may have been misspelled before. It's MSFJP. And I think I put an I where it is. SB. Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens with that. Because we haven't had a conversation with her in a long time either, Sister Jerry.
Yeah,
It seems to
actually,
me
I
that
think we
the
got. I think the email is SBC Global, not Global. Change the B to a G.
so it's SBC Global.
SBC Global. GLOBAL.
BAL.
And it's Golf Lima Oscar. Oh, I forgot. It's been a while. There's a G instead of that first B, instead of the B. Global,
Okay.
SBC Global.
SBC Global .net. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. It seems to me the last time you and I were together was for the 7 last words of Advent, which would have been in 2019. Is
That's
that
quite
about right?
possible. I think I'm trying to remember. I actually attended uh, two of your sessions in Lansing for Veterans Day, but that may
Right.
have been
One was in
2
2017,
Okay.
and the other one was probably 2018. And then the following year, 2019, is when you gave your message, a very good message,
Yeah.
for the first 7 words of Advent. It's amazing. Time just kept on moving.
It did.
And it does. My mama used to say it waits for no one. Um, and I really hope we can. I really hope that we can get Sister Deacon online before we continue the the conversation. Okay. So when we spoke earlier, we really got into a very informative conversation about your your travels
Yes.
and that. Oh, what's the pooch's name?
This is Macy.
Macy. Is that because you worked at Macy's?
No, this is MAISIE.
Mm.
She's a 2-year-old Australian Shepherd Golden Retriever mix.
Oh my goodness. Now, can she do all of that? Can she guard you?
Oh yeah, if she barks up a storm anytime anybody comes in any place close.
Yay! Look who came on board!
Hey!
Yay! Hey,
Finally, I was getting worried.
me too. Turn the light on behind you, baby.
It doesn't go. It doesn't turn on.
Say that again.
The light doesn't work.
Okay.
I can do my overhead light, but that'll be too bright.
Why don't we try it and let Pastor Sue tell us whether it's too bright or not. I think that, don't you think that looks,
That's perfect.
that's perfect.
Okay.
We were just talking about how long it's been since we've been together on a call. Like for Sister Carrie and I, it's 2019.
Wow.
For you, Deacon, I think it's 2020.
Really? Okay.
So that's been a minute. Let me first, I haven't even welcomed the community. I'm so excited to see the two of you. Forgive me. Listen. Welcome to our viewing and our listening audience. The veteran among us, the LGBTQIA veteran plus allies. We haven't been together. The three of us haven't been together for a long time. We invite you to invite your friends and your veteran friends and your non-veteran friends and your family and your colleagues, and it would be wonderful for you to be in on our conversation tonight, which is really about justice for trans and non-binary veterans. Our president has done something very nice, for which many of us have been praying and fasting and fighting to happen. And that's what we'll be talking about tonight, as well as making mention or making a request that you contact the senators in your state, wherever you are, as well as Senator Sinema at 202-224-4521. And she is from Arizona. And Senator Manchin, who is from West Virginia, he is at 202-224-3954, and ask them to support carving out the filibuster, and they've done that 160 times for their interests, but refuse to do it for the two acts. For the two voting right acts. One is for John Lewis, voting advancement right to advancement act, and the other one is for the Voting Rights Act. And we'll bring that information back a little bit later in our time together. And I was sharing with the ladies that what is going on in politics regarding our voting rights acts. It is, in terms of the praying and the fasting, we've got Dr. Otis Moss and Dr. Joe Madison and a bunch of other folk who have jumped on the bandwagon to fast for these voting right acts. And many of us did the same when we were fighting for the LGBTQIA rights. And and so and we were also calling our senators and our representatives, and so we're asking the same of you. And again, we'll give the numbers out later. I think Sister Michelle and Sister Jerry and I both are in Michigan. And I have contacted Senator Peters and I have contacted Senator Stabenow. And I think that the more we contact them, the more that they will understand that we are serious about these two acts being passed, because it really is about our democracy. So, having said that, I'm going to introduce. Well, yes, I am going to introduce my two very, very special guests and my friends and associate members of Space for Grace Without Walls, United Church of Christ Lansing, and my colleagues, and Sister Jerry is a fellow veteran. Uh, if do you feel comfortable talking just a little bit, even though it's not on the program per se? Uh, would you talk about the pros and if there are any cons? And I don't think that there are any cons on what President Biden has done, which is to now allow trans and non-binary veterans to identify as such on their medical records. That's got to be huge.
Absolutely. As you said, I don't think there are any cons to this whole thing. I lived as my true self for 6 years.
You did what?
I've lived as my true self for 6 years.
Okay.
During that, early on in that transition, I did have a need, I guess, or an opportunity, whatever, to visit the VA hospital in Ann Arbor. And first of all, it was not for me a pleasant experience, even though I wasn't there seeking treatment. But there were some things that I was trying to do that there just seemed to be obstacles in the way. Number one, I wanted to get my legal name reflected in the records the VA hospital, could bring up. Well, that wasn't too much of a problem, but even though I had all the appropriate, I had a new passport, I had a driver's license, I had everything that reflected my gender as female, they would not do that.
And for those of you who are listening or watching that are not familiar with the VA systems in Michigan, we've got about 10 of them. And Ann Arbor is about an hour south of Lansing, the capital of Michigan. And then we have a campus in Wyoming, which is about an hour and 15 minutes north of Lansing. And then we have Battle Creek, and
I think there may still be one in Detroit, in downtown Detroit.
Oh yeah, it's a huge one.
The Dingle
in downtown Detroit. Huge. Yeah. Just for your information, to give you some idea. And Ann Arbor the Ann Arbor VA is connected to, if I remember correctly, the hospital.
University of Michigan, right?
University of Michigan Hospital. And is that not what they call a research hospital?
Yes, definitely.
And they gave you a hard time about that?
The VA did. I mean, yeah. University of Michigan Health System, although it's not the greatest in the world, I haven't had any problems dealing with them. But they would not change my gender marker at the VA hospital, even though they issued me a new ID card. It did have my name and picture on it, and I looked similar to the way I look now.
Okay.
But it was clearly identified on my VA hospital ID card as male.
Okay.
And that upset me, but they kept telling me there was nothing they could do about it. So that was my first really experience dealing with any VA facility since my transition. I wound up taking it upon myself, and frankly, I've only been back to the VA hospital in Ann Arbor once. And again, fortunately, I didn't have to actually have any kind of procedure or service done there. But I took it upon myself to get my DD Form 214 changed to reflect not only my legal name, but my new gender marker.
Now, when
And,
did you do that?
well, I did that. Let's see. I submitted the form to the Army Review Board in 2018.
Okay, relatively recent.
Yeah. I did not hear anything from them until the beginning of 2020.
Well, why don't y'all hurry up, huh?
And that was only after I had contacted them twice to find out what was going on. And again, for those who are listening and may not be aware of the procedure, and to my knowledge, President Biden's announcements won't necessarily change this. It may make it a little easier. If you want to get your DD Form 214 changed, and that's your certificate of honorable service and discharge, which you must present anytime you're trying to obtain any kind of veterans benefits, whether it's a VA loan, whether it's hospitalization or health services at a VA facility, you have to be able to present that form. Well, clearly, if my name and gender marker on the form are not consistent with my current identification, that presents problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So anyway, there is a form. It's available online. You complete the form and then send it to the Board of Review for whatever service you were in. Okay? And on the form itself are the addresses for the various boards of review. So again, after almost 2 years, I finally heard from them. And they did, in fact, very formal letter and said, the Board of Review has met, even though you were not consistent with the circumstances in filing your change, your request for change on a timely basis. The board decided to unanimously grant the changes.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah. And they did say in that letter that they would send me a revised DD Form 214, which they did about 6 weeks later.
Awesome. Deacon Michelle, did you have any similar obstacles in the civilian world in terms of your name change and on your driver's license, on your passport, as a member of the church? Did you experience any obstacles along the way?
To really be honest, no. Okay.
Really?
Okay. Back when I had my name changed back in 88. Okay. And it was so much simpler back then, and there was no hassles with the trans community. Uh,
Okay.
Getting my license, gender marker on my license changed back then, all I had to do was bring a letter from my therapist to the Secretary of State, and they then corrected my license. Okay, that's when Secretary of State Austin was in office.
Who was the president in 88?
88. Oh my God.
You said that
Reagan?
this when that
Reagan?
it was one of the, I think it was Bush Senior.
Bush Senior or Reagan? No, it had to be Reagan because he was first nominated in 84.
Okay. Okay.
So, so
I don't think he addressed the issue of identification changes
no.
during his tenure.
Yeah, back then there was no right wing, so to speak, hassles, making it more difficult. So
Why do
it
we
was
call them right when
relatively
they're so
easy.
doggone wrong? I just don't get that. I mean, well, who was that Falwell was over? God rest his soul. The right majority, or the or he had that big campus, a big college down south.
Yeah.
And now today we're talking about the alt right, and I'm saying, but they're so wrong. We really should flip their script. We really, really should. But anyway, Reagan was not of very much help. And sometimes I think sometimes not to address it makes it much harder on the veterans and the civilians who are attempting to make
Mhm.
these changes, because in many ways the president has that kind of power. In other ways, the president has no power at all, other than the power of influence, and see what they say either for or against. Very often, especially to the right, that really don't think that we have any rights at all. We don't have a right to vote. We don't have a right to be gender nonconforming. We don't have a right to be LGBTQ. We don't have a right to any of that. If we, in terms of voting, if we are black, brown, or poor, and in terms of white folks, if we're talking about, changing our gender, that is so against their understanding of what I call God's hospitality and God's inclusivity and God's opening arms to whosoever will. As Bishop Flunder has said from time to time, whosoever will does not necessarily mean yousoever will. And so it's interesting to hear Deacon Michelle, who is a deacon at Dr. Roland Stringfellow's church, and it is called
Metropolitan Community Church of Detroit.
Metropolitan Community Church. Didn't have a cent worth of trouble or obstacles. What about family? How did it go with your family, Deacon?
My family from day one was accepting.
From day one.
My parents were very accepting.
Did they always know? Did you always know?
No, they didn't. One time I was caught by my mom cross-dressing when I was in my early teens. But the only thing she told me was that boys don't do that, and then that was it.
Okay.
So when I came out to them, they just said okay and went about doing whatever they were doing.
Do
Okay.
you so is there a relationship between uh what was then called cross-dressing and what is now? No, there's not a relationship between cross-dressing and transgendering. No, no. I answered my own question as I thought about what that really means, that you're really becoming the person that would wear the dresses. You would legitimately becoming a woman, transgendering from male to female versus being male and or female and cross dressing. And I tell you that I've seen some cross dressers. Woo, you talking about FINE, fine. Yes, indeed. And I've seen some trans women. And Sister Jerry, you would fall into that category. You are a beautiful, beautiful woman.
Thank you.
I mean, you're just and Deacon Michelle, you ain't doing too bad now. I don't mean to slight you. That ain't what I'm trying to do. And I think what does that mean, Deacon? Cross dressers are
Okay, I didn't space it correctly. Cross dressers are under the trans umbrella.
they are under the trans umbrella.
Yes. That's
Okay.
that's my opinion. Some in the trans community say no, but that's
Okay.
my thinking.
Okay.
Anybody that
Um
transgresses gender, whether it's non-binary or agender or cross-dressers or drag kings and queens, as far as I'm concerned, are all under the umbrella.
well, I tell you something that just tickles my soul. It just thrills me to no end is whenever I'm filling out an application or getting ready to take a survey and they put up there male, female, other. I'm so quick to click that other. Sometimes I say, "Ooh, who did that?" And I'll put in there non-binary. I mean, I just love it. I absolutely love it because, to be honest with you, I feel that I am all of them. I feel that I am gay. I feel that I am straight. I feel that I am lesbian. I feel that I am bisexual. I feel that I am trans. I feel that I am all of it. And Oliver, my soul son, God rest his soul, used to say, "Well, I've just decided I'm going to be." He didn't say intersex. There must be another one because I had never heard the term, but multi-sex. I don't remember, but I do appreciate the sentiment of President Biden. I am
Mhm.
extremely beyond measure grateful for Bishop Flunder and all that she has done for the LGBTQIA community. I am so grateful that she and Mother Shirley have been in a same gender loving relationship for 37
Yes.
years. Um, she is the example. She is the one and only example that I know of, that I personally know of, uh, that has set the bar, and she has set the bar high. Pastor Sue, do you know of any other couple that's made it 37 years?
Not off the top of my head. I know that they are. They,
Oh,
so
all
there
right.
have been couples that made it that
Well,
long, but just not off the top of my head.
then I salute them also. Sister Jerry, are you still with your partner?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Prior to my transition, my wife and I have been married for 43 years.
Oh my. Well, that deserves that deserves a shining star in your
Mhm.
crown. 43 years. So
Yeah,
you well on your way. Now we know that Deacon Michelle's wife died. What about 4 years ago now?
No, my second wife passed away, Jamie. She passed away in '05. So
In
it's 16
'05.
years.
Yes, and we know that that still remains a bone of contention for you, and you celebrate her death date, and I do my best to put out words of encouragement to you when you put that up, because I think, quite frankly, Sister Jerry, that we grieve differently, that veterans grieve differently from civilians in many ways because of our training. And one of these days, I'd like to have a conversation with you about how we grieve differently. And I probably will have it online because I was getting ready to say to you before we came on the broadcast that I am writing a resource that is titled Healing My Soul, a redemptive response to death by suicide among veterans. And I think that when a veteran commits suicide, that there may be a plethora of conditions surrounding that veteran's choice that
absolutely.
that civilians miss. Now, civilian or veteran, it doesn't feel very redemptive, which is my point, is to make it redemptive. And one of the books that I have just about completed reading, after which I have another book written by a Jewish writer on the issue of suicide and martyrdom. But the book that I am currently reading, that is titled A Noble Death, views suicide as a type of nobility. That when you do it for a cause, it's noble. When you don't do it for a cause, you're a martyr. And the difference between the two is, according to this author, is that for it to be noble, for a cause that is honorable, and if you're a martyr, then it's viewed as being selfish. And I found that very interesting. And we all have, well, I can't say we all, because I only know by way of my sister, who is now deceased, of anyone in our circles that committed suicide, and of course the veterans that I'm familiar with. So this is this passage, this new thing from the Biden administration, hopefully will cut down on the number of veterans committing suicide, because I think that 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 the desire to belong and the desire to be viewed as normal is a big thing among the LGBTQIA community, and particularly among veterans who probably are more ostracized on a number of levels by our fellow service members, by our senior officers, uh, uh, by the policies that are ignored, like don't ask, don't tell, by the upper echelon, and by the murders and the threats made by fellow service members while on active duty. As a matter of fact, I was hoping that Chaplain Maureen would be with us tonight. She is a lesbian, and on active duty she was gang raped
Oh,
several years ago. And believe it or not, last year when she went for benefits, even though it's in her record that she was gang raped, she was blamed for the gang rape. Number one, because she had one drink. She was not drunk. And those that gang raped her were drunk. They said that she brought it upon herself. Still, they made her take another examination to prove that she couldn't have children. And guess what? The examiner was male. We'll come back to talk more about this travesty and what possible relief our fellow LGBTQIA family and service members may experience as a result of the Department of Veterans Affairs announcement that gender selections on paperwork will now include the options of transgender female, transgender male, non-binary, and other, though they do not define other. I think we'll have a pretty good idea that we can do that when we come back. Am I right about it? Thank
Yes.
you, ladies. We'll be right back to my beloved audience. Stay with us now. Don't turn that dial. Don't flip that script. Just stay right with us. We'll be back momentarily. Pastor Sue is going to bring us whatever announcements that she has that's to our benefit, inviting you to join in. Pastor Sue.
Hey everyone. I am so appreciative. Hey, is this our first broadcast for 2022
I
for the
believe it
veterans?
is.
Yeah. So welcome back, everyone, to our first broadcast for the year. And so we have just a few announcements for you. We're glad that you're here, and wherever you're watching from, we want to make sure that you join us on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We ask that you go ahead and like our page and join our group on Facebook. So if you're watching on Twitter or YouTube right now, I want you to, and you have a Facebook account, I want you to head over there. Find us at TFAM Veterans. That is our page. So we want you to like our page and follow our page so that you are kept up to date on anytime we have a broadcast or anything else that we have going on with the National Veteran Support Group. And we also want you to join our group at TFAM Veterans Group. And let us know when you like our page and when you join our group, if there's a topic, if there's something that's really that you really would love to hear about on our broadcast. If you want to hear about it, just inbox us, contact us, and if you know that you have an idea of someone who should be on the show, or if you want to be on the broadcast yourself, just inbox us, and we'll get right back in touch with you. So thank you again for joining us on our Tuesday night broadcast. Tomorrow, if you are here, we're talking about TFAM. Well, we want to invite you to tune in to Beyond the Gatekeepers as we continue our discussion from last week, Wednesday, with the Reverend Dr. Earl J. Fisher on a reintroduction of the Black Messiah. And this is his book, the Reverend Albert Cleage Jr. and the Black Prophetic Tradition, a reintroduction of the Black Messiah. If you watched last Wednesday, you know that it was on fire, and it is going to be the same tomorrow. So we ask that you do join my pastor, Bishop-elect, the Reverend Dr. Vanessa M. Brown, along with Bishop Yvette A. Flunder, who is our presiding prelate for TFAM, and Bishop Carlton D. Pearson, along with our guest again, Reverend Dr. L. J. Fisher, PhD, for the discussion, part 2 of the discussion on the reintroduction of the Black Messiah. Cara Solutions, focus on your passion, let Cara handle the rest. Cara offers remote production and video conferencing administration and tech support. And let Cara do the heavy lifting so that you can focus on your event, part of that. An example of what Cara does is this program that you're watching right now. This is remote produced by Cara Solutions. Cara also offers custom branding, show development, training, and more. So for more information, you can head over to the website at www.cara-solutions.com. And if you have an idea for your own broadcast, a live show, not sure how to get started, I'm a great conversation partner. So send me an email and we can set up a free consultation. You can email me at sue@cara-solutions.com today. We always are so appreciative of all the ways that you support this programming, and we ask that you continue that support by sending a donation to our Cash App at $serving veterans. So that we can continue bringing you this information, bringing you this broadcast, and we also want to do some work in the community as well. And your donation will help us to do just that. And we're so appreciative of all that you are doing. I don't see Chaplain PJ back yet, so I'm going to give you one more announcement while she's getting ready to come back. So Chaplain Maureen Burns is an advanced law of attraction practitioner, and the name of her organization is Transformations Possible. Learn law of attraction and spiritual principles for success. She has life coaching available. If you're interested in that, you can email her at transformationspossible@gmail.com or send her or call her at 808-264-6252. That's 808-264-6252. Okay, I see Chaplain PJ back in her seat, so we are going to hand this back over to her. Go ahead, Chaplain PJ. Are you eating? I'm so sorry. Well, once again, we want you to let me put this back up so you can finish chewing. Join us on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, we want to remind you to like our page and to join our group on Facebook. Again, that page is TFAM Veterans. And our group is TFAM Veterans Group. And share this information. Share information. If you are a veteran who identifies as LGBTQIA or you are allied, we want to connect with you. So again, we're so appreciative that you joined us tonight. And I do believe that Chaplain PJ is ready now. And so we're going to hand the program back over to her. Thanks again.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Thank you, Pastor Sue. You are amazing. I didn't know you could see me leave the room. My goodness. I went up to the upper level of my condo to get some cough drops. And as I passed the grapes, they said, "Hey." So I got a handful of the grapes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. When we went on a break, before I do that, again, would you put up the notification for giving, Pastor Sue? We want to encourage you to give to Cash App, Serving Veterans, and no amount is too much. How about that? No amount is too much. Thank you. Okie dokie, okie dokie. I don't like to put the other part in there because whatever people give, we are grateful for. And, in this day and age, $5 is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So, we were talking about what I was raising the question, what do you think that they mean by other? Do you think that they are going to start recognizing marriages between two same gender folk? Would that fall in the category of other, as an example? What do you think? And the other that I'm referring to is the Department of Veterans Affairs announced that gender selections on paper will now include the options of transgender female, transgender male, non binary, and other. Well, now, what's other?
Well, the suggestion that you came up with, same-sex marriages or whatever, I don't really think that's addressed by that particular question or category.
Okay.
I really think that that category is how one defines their gender preference. Doesn't have anything to do with whether they're married or not. I'm sure that's another question someplace else on the form.
Okay.
And I think since that is someplace else on the form, I think it would be good to actually make those other options available, like, same-sex spouse or however they want to define it.
Okay.
Because again, I'm not really sure. I unfortunately am not in a case to know one way or the other, but our same-sex partners at this point in time, even though they may be in a legal marriage, is one entitled to the veteran benefits from the other in the event their spouse is lost? I don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. Pastor Sue put in chat. Other could mean a gender, which is you don't identify as a trans woman, trans male, non-binary. You just don't
Asexual?
identify. Yeah, you just don't identify with anything. So you just check off other.
Okay. And I see that she also put in there pansexual. I think that's what Oliver would use from time to time. Can you put a definition on that, Deacon?
Definition of what? Pansexual?
Pansexual.
Oh my God. I have difficulty trying to define that myself.
Or Sister Jerry?
I'm afraid I would prefer not to try and define what those terms are.
Pansexual. Pansexual is basically your attraction isn't fixed to one or two genders. So
Oh, okay.
pansexual is that in any gender or non-gender, you find attraction. You can be attracted to any and have relationships with.
Okay, there we have it.
Gender or non-gender.
Yeah, all genders.
Oh, yes, all genders are those who don't
right.
identify with any gender, and
Well, I certainly want to share with the listening and viewing audience and our guests that Pastor Sue is a seminarian, and she is so serious about God's call on her life that she has picked up and moved from New Jersey to Chicago and attending CTS, which is Chicago Theological Seminary, while staying with the Shepherd's Table at the Rivers for Living Water. Here we go again, and I know it as well as I know my name. So I'm just going to say Rivers of Living Water. Is that correct?
Rivers of Living Water Ministries, UCC. Yeah.
Okay, Ministries UCC. And it was founded by the Bishop-elect, Reverend Dr. Vanessa Brown, and both Pastor Sue and Bishop-elect and I are under the wings, so to speak, of Bishop Yvette Flunder, who founded the City of Refuge, United Church of Christ, and is the prelate of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries that has several hundred congregations around the world. And we are so pleased to be on this journey, in this movement with Bishop Yvette Flunder. We ask that you remember her in your prayers. On the last 2 weeks ago, her right-hand person, who's been with her from the very beginning, passed away suddenly. Bishop Wyatt Irvin Greenlee, out of Glory to Glory United Church of Christ in Missouri, just suddenly left us, and we're all grieving. So thank you for that pansexual, asexual review. I wanted to continue to share from this printout that there is a task force devoted to focusing on making the VA more LGBTQ inclusive. And of course, whenever I see something like that, I ask the question, are there any LGBTQ people at the table? How many times have we been denied something because we were not at the table? How many times have our perspective been skewed because it has been given by somebody that is not LGBTQIA or pansexual or asexual or gender nonconforming? And so I don't know if I will send them an email. I probably will, since they put it out here. Since they put the email here, I might ask the Veterans Administration Secretary Dennis McDowell if he has LGBTQ people on the task force. Because if he doesn't, then it's just another bunch of straight folks, probably all white men. No offense to white folks, seeing how far they can piss on the wall. And it's not going to accomplish anything. It's going to be this, well, we've come to the conclusion that we need more studies. Well, we've come to the conclusion that we're going to table this for another time. I can almost hear the conversation because we're not there. So we want to be praying for this task force that has already offered 88 recommendations for changes, which the VA said will take 4 years to implement. Now, I know the government and the church moves like an iceberg. I understand that, but so maybe I should be grateful for 4 years. What's your thought?
Well, I think I agree with you. The government is not known for its speedy anything.
They're slow as molasses.
Yes, in the wintertime.
Yes.
So 4 years seems a long time, but if in fact, those changes are implemented even at the end of the 4 years, within that 4 year time span, we're definitely steps ahead than where we started.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the second page, I found it very interesting that before Biden even took office, he appointed transgender veteran Sean Skelly, Skelly, to his transition team. And in January, he overturned the Trump era transgender military ban. So I hadn't read that part. I suppose that there's hope. I suppose that there's hope if, particularly if uh, Sean Skelly is an advocate. That would, I think that that would be very, very important. That that Sean Skelly. Do you know that name? Of course,
I've
of all
heard
of
the
us.
name. I can't say that I'm very familiar with him, but I've definitely heard the name before.
So, Deacon, you would probably agree that there. Say you're kind of in a sweet spot also because Dr. Stringfellow is gay,
Mhm.
and so there isn't a lot of hoopla about acknowledging the LGBTQIA community. There's not a whole lot of anti LGBT, probably none. I guess that there may be some in the congregation that are still undecided about whether we have full rights, um, all of the rights that go along with being a member of a church. So I'm kind of asking this next question, not in a vacuum so much as with tongue in cheek. What kind of work is? Give us some examples of the kind of work that is still left for the church to do to recognize the personhood of our transgender, particularly of our transgender siblings.
Okay, are you talking about my church my church, or just churches in general?
Well, both. Not that
Okay,
I expect that much.
MCCD has taken Bishop Flunder, and we've taken her radical inclusion, and that's what MCCD. That's our tagline. That we are radically inclusive.
Okay.
Okay. As for other churches, well, I can go on a diatribe about that. A lot of churches are coming around to being more LGBT and especially trans accepting. But there are some that and everyone else I'm sure are aware of that are not at all.
Yeah, from my personal experience, I was raised a Roman Catholic, and Catholicism is still very important to me.
Mhm.
I belong to a Catholic parish here in the Detroit area. Um, the pastor, I met with him. I'd known him from one of the parishes I had belonged to before I transitioned. So we were, we were certainly very familiar with each other and each other's history. But I wanted to meet with him ahead of time, um, with the understanding that I would like to become a member of the parish. But if he had any issues with it, that's why I was there to talk to him. And he was actually quite supportive. Not only him, but um, the retired priest who was acting as the weekend assistant, who I also knew from a prior parish, was very supportive. As a matter of fact, my current pastor, when I met with him and I explained my concerns, he goes, "Well, I understand completely. I actually had a cousin who was a transgender male who wound up committing suicide. because he couldn't cope with it. And although he did not perform the remembrance, the memorial service or whatever, he attended, and he was quite impressed with the priest who did do the service, in that priest referred to the deceased both with their birth name and the name they had chosen to live their life after transition. Very, very understanding. Unfortunately, we just recently lost the retired assistant right before Christmas, as a matter of fact, which he was a good friend for 35 years. So it was quite a blow to me and the entire parish.
Yes, I saw that in the news. I was saddened by it.
Yeah. And there are a number of Roman Catholic priests out there who are very supportive. Another priest who is not officially assigned to our parish, but helps out a lot. He's helping out even more. When I went up and talked to him for a couple minutes before the funeral mass, and the funeral mass was real impressive to begin with. The Archbishop and all 5 bishops of the Archdiocese of Detroit co-celebrated the Mass. 85% of the priests who are in the Archdiocese, whether they're retired or active service, were sitting in the audience vested. They were all participating. And this other, priest that I know very well, I went up and talked to him for a couple minutes ahead of time. And I wasn't sure before, but he clearly knows I'm transgender.
You think?
Well, he actually, part of the conversation we had said, he was talking about how great both the priests were and the fact that he had just been helping out at another church. And one of the parishioners actually came up to him and wanted to know if he felt that they would be able to join that parish since they were also trans. And he was, very supportive, and he knew the priest, the pastor of that church. And, in the conversation we had, he was very clear that there are a number of his counterparts that feel the same way that he and the 2 other priests do. Unfortunately, the Archbishop is not quite so enlightened, which is probably why he will only remain an Archbishop and never be elevated to Cardinal.
What's the next one up from Archbishop?
Next thing is Cardinal.
Cardinal. Okay.
He is. He's been the Archbishop of Detroit for 8 or 10 years. Every one of his predecessors had been elevated to Cardinal while they were Archbishops of Detroit.
Well, life has consequences, that's for sure.
Gumbleton. Is it Bishop Gumbleton or is it Cardinal Gumbleton? Was the prior bishop?
No, the prior Archbishop was Maida, M-A-I-D-A.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Cardinal Maida, Adam Maida. And before him, it was Cardinal Shaka. And before him, Cardinal Dearden, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Mida. He was pretty liberal, you know, and
Well, yeah.
he was pretty
Clearly,
liberal. And
clearly
God bless him.
Archbishop Bergeron is not.
Well, I
And
tell you, ladies, in the
he has
very,
been,
very, very near future, I would like for us to have a conversation on how to have the conversation with your priest or how to have the conversation with your minister.
right.
I think that that is very important for our audience to know whether they are a veteran or not.
Yep.
Where they, so that they, does your priest give you communion? Are you allowed to take
Absolutely.
communion?
Yeah. He's had no issues with that whatsoever. Um, and I'm one of the lectors. I do the readings during the mass sometimes. And
Okay, our administrator has alerted me that she has another meeting, and I knew that she had another meeting, and I had planned to be off by 8:15. So we're going to stop at this time to say to our listening audience and our viewing audience, and to both of you, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This has been informative. If I were to select a scripture for tonight, it would be the one where it is recorded, whosoever will, let them come. And uh, in my book, that includes you, whoever you are, wherever you are. God loves you and God is in you. And if you have any doubt about it, just start looking for God, and you'll know whether it's God or not, because God created you in God's image, which is the in the image of goodness and the likeness of love. If it ain't good, if it ain't love, it ain't God. And good night.